What up, FloTrack? Hello, my name is Gordon. I'm here with Kevin. It is time to announce the Wisconsin Pre-National Fields for the first time here, live. You're joining in. This is going to be exciting. We're just going to find out who the top teams are racing because, unlike past years, there are two good races, not just one. Kevin, what are you looking forward to most about figuring out who's in the white race and who's in the cardinal race?
Yeah, we got a good preview of Nuttycombe. We got a good preview with some of the other early season meets. But yeah, I want to see where the big dogs are going. The teams like the NAU men, the New Mexico, Colorado women, and also those teams that we haven't seen much from this year. I'm talking about Stanford. I'm talking about Oregon. They're going to have to face somebody who's really strong. Who is that going to be?
That's who are those Pac-12 teams going to face off? Also, just kind of give a little bit of a context of how they came across these two fields. What there was a bipartisan committee that met on Sunday afternoon at 12 o'clock. No coaches were involved. It was basically no one had what's the word? Something in.
No one has stake.
No one had stake in the game. So it was very bipartisan, but they came up with this list. They did off of regional rankings, the coaches poll. We're going to show it based off of the FloXC rankings. And it turns out that there are 9 top 25 ranked teams in each of the 4 races. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty even.
Worked out well.
9 ranked teams. And now it's time to reveal, start the women, because we always start with the ladies. Starting off, so you have the white race. You can look over here, follow along. White race, cardinal race. Now, before we get to the ranked teams, you can't read this right now, but we have the non-ranked teams.
Sure.
But some of these teams actually are potentially could be ranked down the future. So let's list off in alphabetical order who's in the white race and cardinal race that are currently not ranked in the top 25.
So in white, I'll go all through the white.
Yeah, white. I'll read cardinal.
We got Air Force, Arizona State, Arkansas State, Cal Poly, Central Michigan, Clemson, Colorado State, Eastern Michigan, Harvard, Idaho State, Indiana State, Kansas, Lamar, Louisville, Nebraska, Purdue, San Francisco, Southeast Missouri State, South Dakota State, Southern Utah, UT Martin, USC, Wake Forest, Washington State, Weber State, William & Mary, and Yale.
That's a handful. And then who's on the Cardinal side? Again, this is the women's race.
Cardinal side, we have Arizona, Auburn, Baylor, BU, Boston University, Cal, Charlotte, Dayton, Duke, Florida State, Illinois State, Liberty, Miami of Ohio, Montana State, Nevada, Northern Arizona, Northwestern, Ohio State, Portland State, Richmond, San Jose State, Syracuse, Tulane, UCLA, Utah Valley, Western Michigan, and Wichita State.
It's a handful. We'll have the full list on the site as soon as the conclusion of this broadcast. But let's talk about where the top 25 ranked teams are going to be. There are 18 ranked teams that are competing at pre-nationals on the women's side, and the number 25 ranked team is the Notre Dame women, and they are going to be going to the white race. So Notre Dame women start off. We'll go quick. So they're on the white race side. The number 24 team, Utah State, they're staying there. So they're also in the white race. Mm-hmm. And then number 23 is in the cardinal, which is Minnesota. Washington, number 19, is in the white. Georgia, 18 in the white. And Ole Miss, 16 in the cardinal. So this is teams ranked from 16 to 25. We already have 4 teams in the white race, 2 in the cardinal race. What are your thoughts so far right here?
Well, when we did the COLA show last week, talked a little bit about Notre Dame women. This is an opportunity for them to get some points with teams that close to them. I think they have a really great opportunity. We'll see how well Ann Aurora does. And in that white race, if I could talk about an unranked team real quick, the white race has Kansas in it, which has Sharon Lucchetti, the reigning 10,000-meter champion. If she runs, that's going to make that white race have even more firepower at the top. What do you see in Cardinal between Ole Miss and Minnesota? We talked a lot about Ole Miss this year, but haven't seen them much.
Well, I think having Ole Miss and Georgia in 2 different races is a good move there because both of those teams we think will finish 1-2 in the South region, which is a crucial point. So having Ole Miss in one race and Georgia in the other will help both sides out with having a team that you can face off that's not a top 10 type quality team, a team that you could beat and hopefully get that Colas point. Again, you're looking at those teams that are locks to be 1-2 in a weaker region to try to have a chance to beat them in this pre-national invitational. So we'll keep going down the line here. Also, Minnesota, they're kind of a bubble team, you know. Mm-hmm. They're in that Midwest regional, so they also could have a auto spot in the Midwest, so that's another team that you can beat. So let's keep going. The next team is going to be the Portland women, ranked number 15. They're going to be in the Cardinal race. We'll have Furman, number 13 in the white. Indiana, number 12 in the Cardinal. Michigan, number 11 in the white. And then we'll go through all the way to the 9 we have number 10, NC State, and number 9, BYU. So here we go. Here's 6 and 6. What are your thoughts so far on the non-top 10 teams, but, a little bit. Right now, what race would you rather be in right now?
I guess it depends what my goal here. I mean, you brought up a good point. It's 6 and 6, right? Started off with some of the lower ranked teams or the higher ranked team, higher number teams in the white, but now we have some equity. And Michigan's a team I'm really interested in. They won at the Louisville meet. They won at Woody Greeno, but this is a huge step up in competition. Indiana, we saw them beat a whole bunch of ranked teams at Nuttycombe, and BYU is a team that's kind of scary. So it's tough. You have both known and unknown quantities on both sides of these things. So it would be tough for me to pick without seeing that top line.
Yeah, and I think also see NC State in that Cardinal race. Ranked 10, this team prior to the season, we had them as flirting with podium. Mm-hmm. They didn't have that great of a Nuttycombe performance, but they could sneakily put together a strong top 5. And having NC State as a 10th ranked team in your race might be a little bit scary because they're not even in our top 3 ranked among who's going to be in the field. So, but now it's time to find out the matchups. So the teams we have number 8 Wisconsin, number 7 Arkansas, number 6 Stanford, number 4 Oregon, number 2 New Mexico, and number 1 Colorado.
The 6 remaining.
So number 8 Wisconsin, they're going to go up against Big Ten foe in Michigan. They're in the white race. And then number 7, which is Arkansas, they're in the Cardinal race. So Wisconsin on the left, Arkansas on the right side of your screen, yeah?
Yeah.
So I think that seems kind of fair, split the 8 and 7 seeds up. I think this is where we kind of want to know. We want to know where Oregon and Stanford are going to fall. Are they going to be together? Are they going to be separate? I'll tell you, because we know. Stanford is going to be here in the white race, and Oregon, I revealed it. I think I revealed it. But Oregon's there in the Cardinal race. So Oregon and Stanford will not see match up against each other, but that's okay.
Right.
It's fine. I'm really excited to see what Oregon does. And more importantly, let's just get right to it. Who are they going to be facing? So Oregon's going up against Colorado, and Stanford's going up against New Mexico. What are your thoughts on that decision right there? Oh, those matchups.
I mean, the matchups are fascinating just because we don't really know what Stanford and what Oregon are going to do. We've seen New Mexico and Colorado race, and if you take them at what they did at Nuttycombe, then we'd say Colorado at this point in the season is a little bit ahead of where New Mexico is. Those third teams, the third-ranked teams in each, are pretty interesting too. Arkansas right now led by a freshman with Katrina Robinson. We'll see how much more they have. And Wisconsin with Alicia Monson leading the way with that low stick. I'm curious to see how they're going to do for the second time on the home course. It's tough for me to say which one's tougher just because the amount of growth we're going to see from one week to the next is tough. I mean, does one jump out at you?
I mean, what I was hoping to see Oregon versus New Mexico, because we're going to see Oregon versus Colorado versus Stanford all at Pac-12.
Right.
But we're not ever going to know New Mexico's lineup versus Oregon's lineup. I still feel like New Mexico is better than what they did at Nuttycombe. I was actually at practice with them, the first workout post Nuttycombe, and I talked to Joe Franklin. He was like, we're fine. He also said, we lost to Colorado in September last year, and then they went on to win. So seeing Oregon as a very new team with all their transfers, it would have been interesting how they stack up head-to-head with New Mexico. Now we're not going to know that because Oregon's probably going to, whether Oregon beats Colorado or not, isn't really going to tell whether or not they can beat New Mexico or not, I feel. Because I feel like New Mexico is pretty favored to win their side of the race. I think Oregon or Colorado could win the Cardinal side. But like when we try to compare the two races, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to figure out.
It's going to be tough. But even individually, if you look at that white race, if look Ketty's in there with Kurgat, Kaladi, Monson.
Speaking of individually.
And Stanford.
Let's take a look at the individual matchups.
Okay.
That we got. Boom.
Oh, there it is.
Look at that.
You did it for me.
I did it for you. That white race has a lot more top individuals.
It seemed like it would, yeah.
Than the Cardinal race. We have the top 4 individual women in Loketi, Monson, Kaladi, and Kurgat. So we're going to have a true number 1 out of that white race. But then you have Dorcas Wasik of Louisville. No one talks about her.
Right.
You have, and then you have like the Washington girls and the Stanford women. That's going to be what seeing the individual race on the white side is going to be very compelling. I'm excited for Colorado, Oregon in the Cardinal race, but I'm more excited also for the Loketti, Kaladi, Kurgat, Munson in the white race.
Yeah, and I think if you're, now that you break it down this way, I think if you're Oregon, you like this matchup overall. Like you said, you have a lot of new people coming in, and your main competitor is Colorado, a team that isn't going to run like gangbusters and spook everybody, right? They're going to methodically move up through the pack. So I think it gives a chance Oregon to gel, to kind of work together and kind of employ a race strategy without getting overwhelmed too much by the moment. So the more you look at the matchups, the more I think it's a good draw for a team like Oregon in that situation.
Yeah. So Danny Jones versus Veronica Pizik. It's going to be an interesting matchup there on the Cardinal race. But we'll break down more and more the entire women's field as we go along. Mm-hmm. Again, if you for those who are just tuning in, this is the women's field. New Mexico, Stanford on one side, Oregon, Colorado on the other side. We'll show this graphic on social so you can see all the teams listed down here. But pretty even field. It's going to be an exciting women's race. But now it's time to go to the men's race. What do we got here? White race, Cardinal race. Let's list off the non-ranked teams. It's a big list.
Here we go. So in the white, we have Arizona, Boston U, Central Arkansas, Charlotte, Clemson, Florida State, Harvard, Illinois State, Indiana State, Liberty, Louisville, Miami of Ohio, Minnesota, Montana State, Nebraska, New Mexico, Notre Dame, Ohio State, San Francisco, San Jose State, Stony Brook, Tulane, UT Martin, Wake Forest, Weber State, and Wichita State.
Sounds like you're singing like the 50 Nifty song. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona.
And then Cardinal, we got Arizona State, Belmont, Cal Poly, California, Campbell, Central Michigan, Dayton, Duke, Furman, Georgia, Gonzaga, Hofstra, Idaho State, Iowa, Kansas, Lamar, Michigan, Richmond, Southeast Missouri State, South Dakota State, UMass Lowell, Utah State, Utah Valley, William and Mary, Wyoming, Yale, and Youngstown State. That group is in the Cardinal.
So I think immediately right away, things I noticed from the non-ranked teams, I see a Furman and a Michigan in the Cardinal race. There are going to be bubble teams. I see the Campbell individuals there in the Cardinal race, and also I see Wyoming. They got a good individual, and Paul Roberts there in the Cardinal race. Wyoming, I think, was top 3 at Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they're also a bubble team in the mountain region. And then on the white side, I'm excited to see Tulane. They got Emmanuel Rotich, a steepler. He is, hasn't really put together a cross-country scene, but he could be a top 30 guy if he puts it together on that right day. Mm-hmm. And then also, I'm excited to see what do I want to say?
What
were we going to say?
I was going to say a team that was ranked, but I'm not going to say that because we're not there yet.
Okay.
I almost spoiled it.
You almost spoiled it. All right, so we'll announce those teams on the graphic so you can see more. But now it's go to the top 18 ranked teams. 9 on one side, 9 on the other side. Good job, committee, making it even. Here we go. The number 24 ranked team, UCLA, is in the white race. We'll keep going. We'll get the first 6 out of the way. So UCLA on one side, NC State on the other. You got Indiana back on the white side, Washington State on the white side, Southern Utah on the Cardinal side, Purdue on the white side, Oregon on the Cardinal side, Air Force on the white side, Colorado State on the Cardinal side, Ole Miss on the Cardinal side, Washington on the white side, and Colorado there on the Cardinal side. So, thoughts?
Well, interesting Colorado there because then now you really want to see who those top 3 teams are on the Cardinal race because Colorado, I mean, we have them at 9, but I think they're underseeded right now just based on what happened at Nuttycombe. If they have their full group and they're healthy, I think they're better than that number 9, so that could really add strength to the Cardinal race.
Yeah, Colorado would have been right there with Boise if Joe Klecker ran neck and neck with his teammate
John Dressel.
Yeah.
And also on Cardinal, Ole Miss and Colorado State, I guess we could describe them both as kind of upstart teams on that side. Ole Miss has been shooting up the rankings, and Colorado State, led by Cole Rockhold, ran really well at Nuttycombe too. And on the white side, I mean, we're really curious to see what Washington does. First big test, they ran well at Beantown, and they got 2 other Pac-12 teams in there with them.
Yeah, I think seeing Southern Utah and Colorado State on one side and Air Force on the other, it's interesting. You got, and even Colorado, you got 3 mountain teams on one side and only 1 there on the other. So mountain's a deep region. Mm-hmm. It's going to be nice to have Southern Utahs and Colorado States on your side. But again, when we think about it, they're also going to probably finish high. So no one's really going to beat Colorado State and Southern Utah. Southern Utah is not going to get 10th in this race. So it's not really going to help many teams. But it will help Oregon. Oregon's going to have a shot to go up against some of the Colorado's, States, and Southern Utahs, and Ole Miss, which is a strong South regional representative. I think Ole Miss is a key here. Alabama's a wild card. We don't know what Alabama's going to do, but Ole Miss looks very locked in the South region, and having Ole Miss in your side in the Cardinal race. So right now, I'd rather be in Cardinal with Ole Miss being there.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'd rather be Cardinal.
Okay.
Would you rather be right now?
Well,
it
depends what you're looking at from the perspective. But yeah, though I guess the whole point is to accumulate points, right? So you want to see who's a top 2 region team who's beatable. Which in that case, Cardinal looks good. Ole Miss is just interesting to me because they've been on such a high right now.
Yeah,
they could surprise some people.
So now let's go. So we have 6 remaining ranked teams. We have the number 8 Stanford Cardinal, number 6 Syracuse, number 5 Wisconsin, 3 Portland, 2 BYU, and 1 NAU. Who is going where? We're putting Stanford on one side, Syracuse on the other. So we don't get to see the ghost of Justin Knight race the current state of Grant Fisher.
Haunting him.
But yeah, Syracuse on one side, Stanford on the other. Stanford and Colorado get to see that Pac-12 rematch there. It will be exciting to see. We saw Stanford win last year after ending Colorado's 6 or 7 year streak of winning Pac-12 titles. Let's keep it going. Wisconsin is going up against Stanford. So basically, the Cardinal race looks very similar with Wisconsin, Colorado, all there, just addition of Stanford and Oregon on the Cardinal race. And then Portland is here. So, BYU and NAU, we didn't get what we wanted. We're not going to see them race each other. I'm sorry. But I think we all saw that coming. There's no way they're going to make the clear 1-2 teams rank each other. But the question is, are we going to want to see a BYU-Portland rematch of West Coast Conference foes where Portland didn't really race much?
Exactly.
Or are we going to see a BYU versus Stanford? Or are we going to see NAU versus Portland or NAU versus Stanford? What do you think we're going to see? You know the answer.
I think it's just time to tell people.
I think we just tell people. We're going to see West Coast Conference rematch, BYU and Portland, and then on the Cardinal side, NAU going up against Stanford. And I think most importantly, I think it's exciting to see how Grant Fisher is going to race against Morgan McDonald and is going to race against Matthew Baxter and Tyler Day. I think individually, that Cardinal race just was like, boom.
Yeah.
It got way exciting.
Yeah, that one is stacked. I'm interested to see your individual breakdown here on the next slide. White race, that headliner, though, is that West Coast Conference rematch between Portland and BYU. And BYU will get a chance to flex their muscles a little bit with their depth, see really how many they can pack in that top 10 and top 15. Portland is a team that ran a little bit farther back than we anticipated at Nuttycombe, but anticipate they're going to have a leap up. They're going to add in some guys. If Rudolph Levesque is back to what we know he can run.
Ruben Kiprono, who won Bill Dillinger, didn't race. He'll be here.
Yeah.
I think Portland probably ran maybe they ran their top 4, but they could have had a different 5th that is Ruben Kiprono, who will be in this race. Portland's going to be interesting to watch because I think he has like 10 or 12 guys, and he's just trying to figure out who the 7 are, and Coach Rob Connor. So now he'll have a chance to figure out who they are when they race against the BYU guys and Syracuse. Yeah. So it'll be interesting. But team-wise, what are you liking right now? Team matchup.
I mean, I think that the addition of Stanford is going to be interesting. We have them ranked 8, but mostly because they haven't had the opportunity to beat people. So my eye, I guess, would be on the Cardinal race right now.
Yeah, my eye would actually be on the white race because if Portland is able to hold serve against BYU, not say they beat them, but if they only lose by 10 points or 15 to BYU, that would make me think, oh, Portland's real because we look at BYU as title contender, and if you're able to be within a 20-point margin of them in any given race, on your day in November, you can also, and we saw what Portland did last year when they got smoked by BYU. They no one was talking about them, and then they go on to get runner-up to NAU.
Don't sleep on Syracuse either in that white race.
And Syracuse, we'll be interested. This will be the first true test for Syracuse to see what they do against a Portland and a BYU. So, individually, though, this is what I'm excited. You see that Cardinal race. Boom. You got Baxter, Fisher, McDonald, Day, Joe Klecker. That guy's – he's 13-30 this past summer. Stephen Fahey. You got the 2 Campbell guys and Kemboy and Kipkoek. You got NAU more. You got Paul –
More NAU.
You got Paul Roberts of Wyoming. But seeing the Campbell guys with Fisher, the NAU guys, and Wisconsin, and Joe Klecker – it's going to be a good individual.
I mean, just the presence of NAU adds so many individuals to this list. On the white race, you got 2 BYU guys up front. Tooker of Syracuse run really strong. I think after this week, though, we're going to see some more if we retroactively rank them, we're gonna see some more balance here because I think someone's gonna show up in that.
There's gonna be
in that white.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, who's in also in the white race that's not ranked? Liberty, and then they have Izira Kawa. I don't know how to say his name. I'm sorry, I butchered his name, but he's really good. He could be like a top 20 guy. He's not ranked right now. I think it's be interesting. I honestly think right now, if I'm a betting man, I would put my money on Aiden Tooker because you have like BYU Portland going at it, but then Tooker's gonna be like, I'm here because Tooker ran well. He was sandwiched between the two Campbell guys at Beantown. I think Tooker wins this race.
Well, and Brandt is interesting. Robert Brandt, he ran unattached at Stanford, won that race like from the front. And last year at regionals did the same thing. Like he's like a front runner. So if he goes out hard like he's done before and everybody else is more concerned about team placing, they may not be able to reel him back in.
And we don't even know if Robert Brandt is even going to show up because he might be unattached. We don't know.
We don't know.
But
if he does.
That's the white race and the crawling race. Again, looking at the teams there, BYU, Portland, Syracuse on one side, NAU, Wisconsin, Stanford on the other. We'll release full list so you can look at it, dive deep into it later today. And also get ready for fantasy. We're starting the fantasy league again. We got round 2. You got 4 races to choose from. You get 4 rosters. People picked Baxter and Kipper up in the roster last week, and it didn't work out because they had a DNS, so they didn't really get points there. But it's time for new week, new you, new me, new everyone, new fantasy league. So get it done.
When should we watch this race?
So what, Saturday?
It's Saturday.
Saturday, 9 a.m. Central. We'll go live. First race is at 10, but we go live at 9, so tune in. We've got a great pre-show. It's going to be great action. It's going to be awesome.
I'm wearing warm clothes this time, so look out.
Yeah, you won't shake his hands.
Watch out for that.
All right, guys. Tune in Saturday, 9 a.m. in Madison, Wisconsin.